What's up, everybody? Dante here, and I got an oldie but a goodie for you. Now, this one is a bit of a passion project for me, so you're gonna have to bear with me as it's also a guilty pleasure. We're gonna be going over some juicy uppercuts, great voice acting, and even magicians. So, here's what we're talking about today. Zombie Revenge is a beat 'em up shooter that was developed by Sega AM1, Sega, and Data East. It was released in early 1999 for the Sega Naomi, and a little bit later the Dreamcast. I'm pretty sure this is the first game that got me into horror. I was strictly into racing games as a kid. You know, games like Test Drive, Ridge Racer, Daytona, NASCAR, hell, even Road Cage. Remember that? Nah. I'm gonna be honest with y'all. I haven't finished this game till I was a whole adult. There's a couple parts that I can barely squeak by, but I could never get past this part. No matter how many lives I had, he always ate them up. I remember how I beat him the first time. It was a, let's call it a THC infused night. Might have been recent, might have been 5 years ago. You never know. Once I beat it, I immediately wrote the script to this video as a celebration. Anyway, I'm going to get started with the plot, gameplay, mechanics, and legacy, if any. So let's get started. For this next section, I'm going to be sprinkling in some character lore as well as story elements to hopefully make the story make sense. At least how it makes sense to me, if that makes sense. This game features 7 episodes, with each episode having some type of sub-boss or a boss either at the middle or at the end. The levels are in this order. Level 1, Isolated Area. Level 2, Biological Weapon. Level 3, Enigma. Level 4, Terminus of All. Level 5, The Gate. Level 6, House of the Dead. Hey. Level 7, The Dawn. The story begins in the now zombie-infested Woodside City. How did it get like this? A gentleman by the name of Zed, unleashed the UDS virus as revenge for his family. More on this later. The gameplay begins with 3 agents inside an ATV getting briefed on a mission to find Zed. Who are these agents? Let's go over them now. Beginning with Stick, I like to call him Mr. All-Around. He got some pretty powerful melee, but a pretty mid gun. He's 27. His parents were scientists actually involved in the UDS project, with Gil's, Stick's dad, being the leader of said project. Stick's mom sadly passed away when he was young. Then we have Linda, age 22. Hands down the fastest one out of the 3, but weak melee. Pretty good gun. She's the youngest member of the AMS and lacks combat experience. I honestly always assumed that this was like her first mission. Now for last and certainly not least, Mr. Home Office Special Affairs himself, Rikia Bushijima. He's actually my Hotu. He got great melee and a good gun, but it's a bit slow. He's 32, and honestly not much is known about him, but I like it like that. Now if you're thinking AMS sounds familiar, it's because they're a part of the same agency as G and Rogan from the House of the Dead series. Remember that? Yeah, this game's a spin-off of that. Oh yeah, Stick and Linda speak fluent Japanese, and Rikia understands English, so everything is copacetic. Now that we got the protagonist's background information, let's start with the episodes. The AMS agents fight their way to a warehouse and meet a woman named Yoko. She's in the middle of getting attacked, so they blow away the zombies and she gives them a disc. They then leave the warehouse and walk straight into the first boss, UDS-03. They beat the boss and move on to find a computer in the next area. They find a computer and pop in a floppy disk, and they are immediately greeted with a floating head that tells them they have 3 cars to choose from. After selection, the heroes go outside to the alley, open the sewer grate, and move on to the next episode. In this section, you'll fight bats, zombies, bulbasaurs, and laser pointers. There are hidden rooms with zombies and extra health, and even some different weapons if you're feeling froggy. The midpoint bosses for this section are plant hybrids called Shell and Worm Headland. Defeating them shouldn't be a huge issue, just watch out for the fallen debris. Once they're defeated, you'll fight a couple more enemies, then head to the end of the level for boss time. Here's the big bad boss for this level, UDS-05, or as I like to call him, Electric Predator. You should be able to defeat him pretty handily, just use ranged weapons as well as dodge the lightning. And once you're done, Bushijima will give like this ominous saying, "Are you afraid of dying?" After the sewer section comes the plant section. This is the meetup spot where you're supposed to be coming into contact with Zed. You fight your way through the plant and run into the most god-awful hell spawns called the her monkeys. Stupid monkeys. You defeat zombies up until a point where a guy throws himself through a window just to tell you that the place is going to blow up in 3 minutes. Okay, great. Now we're running from the building and finally catch up with Zed. We chop it up a bit trying to resolve childhood trauma until Zed laughs and then sicks his dog on us called the UDS-02. It gets handled just as the place is coming down because yeah, this all happened in a span of 3 minutes, so from that guy throwing himself through the window all the way up into defeating a monster was apparently 3 minutes. No worry, the Chopper and Marco Cloud is here to save the day. Not so fast, my friends. We have to do some mop-up work. Okay, let's play this mini game where we gotta shoot the 10 remaining zombies before we can leave the level. Alright. Done. Now for the train section, which in my opinion is the best section. Agent Cloud lets the team know where Zed is planning the next outbreak.
Something important coming.
Alright, do not screw this up by pressing 2 buttons.
South Union Railway. South Terminal, Cassandra.
We jump on top of the train and do some train hopping from cart to cart, killing zombies and monkeys as we go. We make it to the front only to have the boss pop out from the engine room. This boss is UDS-07. Not too much of a sweat to beat, but once you beat him, you do have to jump into the engine room. You hop into the engine room and find out instantly that the train is a runaway, so you have to pull the emergency brake. We have to do it while fighting zombies in an enclosed space. Getting the train to stop at the station, the agents hop out and clear out the station. On the way through the station, you get to pick up my favorite weapon, the cannon shot, which is a fucking rocket launcher inside a guitar case. This boss, UDS-06B. This boss I handled with ranged weapons, and I am going to advise you to do the same. Once defeated, old Zeddy Boy comes in doing his best WWE impression, ranting about mankind, kill all humans, and how Stick has to get the worst of it. As he's doing his old man rant, the room fills with gas and knocks everyone out, ending the level.
What's with the smoke? Stick brightly. You especially must suffer.
What? This is the shortest section of the game. Pretty much the agents wake up and walk to the gate where you immediately have to go against the boss. The boss name is UDS-TP00. You're gonna have to wear him down, and once you wear him down, you'll figure out pretty much that this is a two-phase fight. Why? Because his chest opens up and a little shit fucker named UDS-TP-01 hops out, So you have two of them, but you're going to have to focus on the little one because the little one is pretty much the health bar for the second phase. And once you defeat the boss 2 times, then that's the end of this level. I know the creators have fun with this section. This is pretty much a shot-by-shot recreation of the original House of the Dead. You fight your way up to the original fountain to complete with Ebiton. You then head to the front door and fight zombies with shotguns. Fun. After they are defeated, you even recreate the famous front door shooting from the original. Once inside, you fight your way through a corridor where you come face to face with zombies with freaking lasers attached to their freaking arms. Defeat them and you have a sub-boss, UDS-03, aka the Neckland, or better known as, this boy is on fire. After this boss is defeated, you now have to clear more zombies with freaking lasers attached to their freaking arms. Had enough yet? Good, because here comes the final boss of the level. This is UDS-04C. Now I have to admit, when I was younger, this boss was an absolute run killer. But if you stay out of the reach of his arm swipes and out of his laser eyes, you should be good. Defeating this boss will lead to Zed walking into the room, bringing in all his childhood baggage with him.
He said all those creatures were made by humans.
That's right. Government Top Secret Plan, UDS. Using the dead for weapons? A stupid plan. My parents were part of this, but a scientist killed them and used them for his experiments. His name? Gil Brightling, your father. I swore I'd get my revenge. I will exterminate all humans with their own weapons, and I will kill you. See you in hell.
Now it's time for Big Bad Zed and his backstory. But before we get started with that, let's talk about what UDS is. UDS stands for Undead Soldier. This is pretty much a government project to use dead as military weapons. So Zeddy Boy took control of this project, somehow, to spread the virus within cities, ultimately to eradicate humankind. Why, you ask? Pretty much avenging his parents. Pretty much Stick Dad, Gil, created the Gil Cell, which ended up being the key part in the UDS project. Old Gilly Boy killed Zed's parents and used them for experiments. So yeah, I don't blame him. If your family gets murked, you take the nuclear option. So after getting the floor torn from you, you pretty much wake up in an elevator. Now from that elevator you have to fight your way all the way to the ground floor, which is apparently Zed's underground lair. Once you get to the bottom, you got to refight a couple of bosses, mainly the UDS-05, the Electric Predator, and the UDS-TP, which is the little guy within the big guy. And once you defeat those two, you finally make it up to Zeddy Boy.
Okay, I'm finished playing around. I hold the god of destruction in my body. Soon, I will release him. I'll kill you. Then, I'll be reunited with my parents.
You guys do get out in his normal form, which is hard enough. And after you defeat his first form, you go into his second form, which is the
Dark Magician.
Why do you still want to live?
Die, humans.
You have to beat him now for a second time, also with powers from the card that you chose from all the way back in level 1. Once you beat him, that's it. Then it's pretty much all 3 agents in the desert, by like a road or something like that. And Styx looking all down, thinking about his past. But Bushijima stops him and pretty much says, man, keep the past in the past. Once that heart-to-heart's done, Marco comes along with his helicopter.
Thank you, Mario, but our princess is in another castle.
So we trot off to the next place. But that's for the next game, right? Right? Now for the weapons, I feel like they have a pretty diverse set of weapons for this game. I'll start off with the handgun each of the protagonists get. You get a metal pipe, axe, stun gun, landmine, gasoline which can't be ignited, grenade, hatchet, machine gun, shotgun, dual handguns, flamethrower, drill, guitar case, one with dual machine guns, chain gun, laser gun, and a guitar case with a freaking rocket launcher. Now next up are the modes that you can get from this game. The game has arcade mode, original mode, versus boss mode, fighting mode, training mode, and one is a VMU game that you can play called, I believe it's Zombie Revenge Racing Game. Going over the first one is arcade mode. This is pretty much the original arcade game where you get 15 credits. You go through the game as far as you can, and if you die and lose all of your credits, there's no continues, so game over pretty much. Next mode is the original mode. Now this one is broken into 3 modes. First mode is normal mode. As it says, your fist and your gun are pretty much the same power as they are in the arcade mode. Next mode is gun mode, where your gun is pretty much going to be supercharged and expensive, weaker melee, and you get less bullets. The final is bare knuckle mode, which for this mode, your fists are pretty much super powered. You can punch a hole through a brick wall. Next mode is the versus boss mode. This is pretty much where you can go through and defeat any boss from the main game. Next mode is fighting mode, where up to 2 characters can fight. Next is a training room where you can pretty much raise one of your characters on a VMU and put them into the fighting mode. Get bigger and stronger from there based on all of the items that you got in the original mode. Kind of like a Tamagotchi. And speaking of Tamagotchi, There's a last mode called Zombie Revenge Raising Game. This is pretty much a pet simulator. This is a character that you can send over to your VMU and pretty much raise and use them in fighting mode. It's a shame this game never got a remaster or any of that type of treatment. It was a damn good zombie beat 'em up game. I mean, I enjoyed it in 2000 as much as I enjoy it now. Hell, it's the reason I got a Dreamcast. I mean, it sold okay and was reviewed generally well. Throwing out some numbers to you, according to SegaRetro.org, it sold approximately 120,000 units. I mean, IGN gave it a 5.9. Game Informer gave it an 8.5 on the arcade and 6.75 on the Dreamcast. The reviews pretty much summed it up as a great concept but bad execution. Those executions, poor fighting controls, the difficulty level, and bad sounds. I mean, it's early 2000s, so I get it. You're still trying to find your way. I understand it wasn't for everybody, and I agree that it was a bit difficult at times, but this still is my darling, and this is my go-to when I want to feel nostalgic. Anyway, thank you, Faceless Listener, for hearing me ramble. And again, thank you for watching it all the way through. Go get yourself an ice cream cone or something. I don't know. Bye.